Episode 58 of the Monday Morning Worship Leader. What's Greg got to do with it?
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures give His glory. Praise Him above the heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Well, hey guys, it's Brother John here, and so good to be with you on this third Monday of Easter. If you can hear birds in the background and anything, it's a beautiful Saturday morning, and I've got the windows wide open and recording this on my kitchen table, and I can hear the bird sounds in the background. I hope that now that Easter is behind us, that you're getting some time to get outside and to enjoy yourself a little bit as we see spring come into vogue. Hey, I also just want to again welcome some of our new listeners. We're getting downloads from the Down Under in Australia, France, Kenya, Poland, the United States, of course, and we're getting more and more downloads in Ontario and Quebec. So we're so glad that you are tuned in to the Monday Morning Worship Leader, a podcast for worship leaders, and with a bias, then it's not just for, but with a bias toward free worshiping tradition. We want to be a podcast for all worship leaders, but that's just where I come from. I'm a Southern Baptist worship leader in St. Louis, Missouri, and I've spent my life, my professional, my adult life, studying worship and enjoying leading worship. In fact, honored to do so. In my studies and in your studies as well, I know that you have heard, who hasn't heard, Gregorian Chant. And today's episode is, what's Greg got to do with it? How can understanding Gregorian Chant just a little bit, how can that help us as worship leaders, especially in the free worship tradition, but everywhere else? How can that help us to understand worship in the 21st century a little bit more? Well, first of all, just a little bit of background. Gregorian Chant is named after Pope Gregory the First, who is Gregory the Great in many ways. And he was a very influential and pious pope who lived in the 6th century. He was pope from 590 to 604 AD. And he dealt with many issues of really the young Christian church. And one of the issues that he was dealing with was heresy. And that would be a big deal to Pope Gregory, as it should be to any religious person. You want the purity of your teaching and the purity of your doctrine to stay pure. And so that's what Gregory was fighting. Gregory was fighting still some Gnosticism, but even more, Gregory was fighting the after effects, but strong, of Arianism. The idea that, it would turn the theology and the doctrine of the Trinity on its ear. And the Trinity can handle himself, right? But I'm just saying that it was a threat to Christian understanding of the Trinity. And here's the big deal. The big deal was in the Arian world, in the world which basically was, I think it's also Sabellianism. It's the idea that taking the deity away from Christ in particular. They were writing really good music. That's the thing. They were writing really, really coercive music that people were singing. And Gregory was concerned. And so Gregory himself said, the church will sing only the music that comes through my office, that is approved by my pen. Now that seems to be a little like martial law, and it seems a little constricting. But Gregory understood the power of music. He understood that he had to get a hold of things, and he had to put his hand on things, and it had to be from his hand. So he didn't write all the Gregorian music, but what he did was he nodded at the ones that stayed. And so when we think of Gregorian music, we think oftentimes of the style, but actually Gregorian music probably best serves us to understand that it's a process. The style was there either way because that was the style of that time, but it was more the process and procedure. And that was to be music that would be approved by someone, that would be vetted by someone, that someone would say, as Harry S. Truman reported to say, the buck stops here. There had to be a gatekeeper who said it begins and ends with me. And that's what Gregory did, and that's why Gregorian music is named after him. It's not as much the style, really, as it is the process. Well, no, that's wonderful. We don't really have a lot of Gregorian music, a lot of chant music in our worship services today, at least in a free worshiping setting. So what's the point? Well, the point is, I think that we can look at 4 things that came out of this and say, okay, here are 4 things that we can learn today from Pope Gregory the First and Gregorian chant. First, and I have said this many, many times, and I know people will nod their heads at this, but I think you need to really understand music is stronger than you think. Music actually has a sublime ability to change your DNA, to change your way of thinking, to change over time. It won't do it immediately, but you allow these things to come into your life, and it does change the way you perceive things. Music is powerful. And Gregory knew that. Gregory, this was before all of the music philosophy that came down during the Enlightenment and all of that. Gregory knew even back then. And I think because of the writings of Plato, especially in the Republic, which is a great book that you should read sometime, we really have an understanding that back then they really did understand the power of music to form the person. And so, number 1, music is stronger than you think. 2, there has to be a gatekeeper. There's a lot of great music out there, a lot of fun music out there, a lot of sweet music out there, but there has to be a gatekeeper. And that gatekeeper has to have some criteria when selecting music, when saying this is good, this is not good. And the gatekeeper, listen to me, if you are a contemporary worship leader, don't let the radio station be your gatekeeper. You need to thoroughly vet your music so that your music is doctrinally sound and also is musically sound for your people. So there's got to be a gatekeeper. Third, the pure voice is still the best. I'm an instrumentalist. You know this about me. I love instrumental music. But when it comes to worshiping God, the voice is still, there's just something about the pure voice. And let the pure voice sound in your worship. Don't let it be overcome by instruments. Don't let it be overcome by sound reinforcement. Let the pure voice reign, which leads me to the last thing. The building is the instrument. Now, this is not something that Gregory may have thought about, but when you listen to Gregorian chant, as we're going to listen here in just a second, you hear the building. You hear the entire surroundings. Allow your worship to fill the building. It needs to be full. Personally, I don't think it should be abusive. I don't think it should be loud, but it needs to be full, and it needs to fill whatever building, and the building actually becomes part of the instrument. Here's a great example. I couldn't talk about Gregorian chant without playing some. So this is Veni Creator Spiritus. I don't know who's doing it. It's just from archive.org, and so I had the rights to play it for you. But this way you will notice the beauty of the sound, the pure voice, and the beauty of the building. Enjoy.
I
Veni Creator Spiritus, and that was some Gregorian chant. And I hope you find all of that to be a good word. Well, listen, if you are interested in Gregorian chant, all things Gregorian chant, there is one book. There are lots of books out there about it, but there is one book that should be on your library. And that is a book titled Gregorian Chant. And it's by Willi Apel. It looks like Willi. Willi Apel. I'll have it in the show notes. But Willi Apel was a German-American musicologist back in the turn of the 19th into 20th century. And he wrote this book, Gregorian Chant. And truly, this book it's a large book, and it is full of information about Gregorian chant. I've read it one time when I was working on my PhD, but it is a fantastic source for information about that. So again, Gregorian Chant by Willi Apel. Well, I hope you've enjoyed yourself today, and I hope we've learned a little bit from Gregory. And don't forget this: we are not rock stars. We are servants. I'll see you next week. I had a pastor ask me recently, you have a vibrant worship ministry. How are you getting out in the community? It's a good question. Let's unpack that.
Next time on the podcast.